Yo,
How's it going?
how's it going?
Welcome back to being on camera on the show.
Yes, thank you. I tried camera last time too from my phone, but it was messed last time.
We were trying to. I was trying to figure it out, and it was obviously it was pretty janky, as anyone who listened to it knew. What was the issue? Just like bad internet at your folks?
I have no idea because I heard John and John heard me fine, and it was just you and me couldn't like
Yeah, no,
connect
that's right. But
somehow.
it took you a while to like even get in, right?
No, I just kept muted because I didn't know
Oh,
like when I didn't want to just like jump in. Like honestly, I felt pretty fucking stupid for even calling in because it was like, yeah, it's kind of a funny gag, but it also kind of ruins the show. So I was like,
no, I thought it was
whatever.
people commented that they liked it too. It's fun.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was okay. I wish it went a little more smooth, but
Sure.
yeah, it was fine.
Cool. By the way, no John this week. He's busy, so it's just the two of us.
Yeah,
I saw a couple movies this weekend that I want to talk about.
yeah. Okay.
Um, First one, My Old Ass with Aubrey Plaza.
Oh yeah. Okay. How's that?
That's good, funny, heartfelt, just a nice, teenage queer rom com. I always
Hmm.
like seeing a rom com. They don't make a ton of those these days.
Sure.
So.
Okay.
But more importantly, is I saw The Wild Robot.
Yeah. Okay.
Easily one of the best movies of the year. Like,
Really. Hmm.
I would be shocked if like it's going to be either like number one or number two, probably. Holy smokes, it's so good.
Really. Wow. Okay.
Not recommend that enough. Gorgeous to look at, super heartfelt. The friends I went with, like, they were all just ugly crying, like, the whole time.
Sure.
So,
Well, that's cool.
yeah,
I don't
go
even
out
know
and
what
see The Wild
that's
Robot.
about.
It's
Like, I know barely anything about it.
came out last weekend.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm very looking forward to watching that again at some point for sure. What about you? What are you watching these days?
Uh, just some TV stuff. I gotta catch up this week because it's been just kind of hectic. But I think Rings of Power is done this week, right? I think the last episode
I've
is.
only actually watched the first episode. I've fallen behind. There's a lot to watch right now.
Yeah, so there's that Egathal along. Finally, the third episode, I was like, okay, this is kind of fun. And that was last week, so I haven't watched this week's yet. A
Right,
little
that's where
upset.
I am as well. As 3 episodes in.
I liked episode 3 more than the first two, and I think it's because it was just kind of like a quirky. I likened it to an "Are You Afraid of the Dark" episode. It had that kind of vibe going for it, just like a weird little contained horror
Okay,
story
sure.
thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was fun. Kind of excited to see what they do to follow that up. I kind of like the
How
premise
about
too of them just like having a bunch of trials that they have to overcome.
sure?
So
Yeah. How about Penguin? You watching Penguin?
no, I kind of couldn't care less, honestly.
Oh, I'm liking Penguin. Colin Farrell's doing a fantastic job. I think that show is worth watching.
Yeah, there's that. There was another show, and I can't remember which one it is now. Oh, Only Murders. I got to catch up on this week as well.
Yes, I haven't seen this week's, but yeah, I want to watch that.
I
There's a
saw
bunch
what you
coming
meant
out
about the
this.
last one being kind of goofy. It's pretty
It's
ridiculous.
really goofy. That one I wasn't super on. It's
Yeah,
very goofy, but
yeah, it is.
this month there's a bunch coming back that I'm excited for. What We Do in the Shadows is back.
Okay, sure, yeah.
I can't remember. Are you watching that show?
No.
It's got to be the best show you're not watching.
Maybe. I didn't care for the movie, or I've seen a couple episodes, so like, whatever.
Oh, I love it so much. And then Shrinking is back this month.
I've heard, I can't remember if it was you or just like some other people, but I've heard that one is very good.
You haven't seen the first season of Shrinking?
I have not.
Oh, that was my favorite show of that year. You should absolutely watch Shrinking. There's only like 8 episodes or whatever. You should get on that. It'll be perfect timing because then you can go right into season two.
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen, but I mean, it's on a list, I will say. Like
All
I
right.
have on my phone like a bunch of stuff that I keep track of, and
Okay.
it's on the haven't started yet. But my haven't watched for a while is incredibly long.
Well, those are two shows I am very excited to return this month.
Cool. Yeah.
I also just saw the headline. And I had seen like the other headlines before it, but I guess this is like an official headline that they're doing a fourth season of Ted Lasso,
I did see that too.
and Jason Sudeikis is coming back, and it's just like,
Why?
what?
Yeah. Yeah, I
What are you
know.
doing? Like, oh
I,
man, really?
I have like no hope in that, but maybe it'll be, you know what? Maybe I'll love it because I have no hope. Like maybe it'll be good.
Like I was happy when it ended because I was like, good. This show doesn't seem to have much else
Yeah,
left in it. Like, I'm glad you finished it off.
I agree.
And they gave it like a good finale. Like,
They
but
did.
they even set it up to be like, all right, we gave all the side characters kind of backstories and built them up. Like, they should have just made a spin-off
I
called
thought that's
AFC
what they would
Richmond.
do.
But
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah, I mean, I understand like the brand name, it means something for Ted Lasso, but like Jason Sudeikis coming back, his whole thing was like, I'm done
Yeah.
and I'm happy. And it was like, great, good for you, man. Oh, you're back. Okay, so that just didn't mean anything. Huh. Well, you know what? That's actually pretty standard for this show. Is start a plot line, it goes absolutely nowhere, and then they just forget about it and move on.
Yeah, you're not wrong, unfortunately. So
So
it's
yeah.
it's apt for sure.
What a crazy, like, what an insane trajectory of like this first season is incredible. I will recommend this show to anyone to the point where I am like, don't watch this show. It is such a disappointment.
Yeah, it's such a bummer that season 3, it's not that I was like rooting against it. I just kind of was doing it because of the sunken cost fallacy of like, well, I watched season 1 and 2, so we might as well finish it. And season 4 is going to be similar, I assume. So who
Yeah,
knows?
I don't know, man.
It's rough.
I
Cuz
feel similar about when they said John Wick 5 is happening and Keanu Reeves is coming back, and it was like, what?
it's like, yeah, you guys need to let things die. Start new
I mean,
projects.
okay. Slight spoilers for the end of John Wick 4. The one thing I did think would be cool for John Wick 5 is if he is John Wicking his way out of hell.
Almost like a Constantine or something.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's a good idea. But so who knows?
Yeah. I just want Constantine again. And honestly, so
Well,
does
they
Keanu
just said
Reeves.
the second one is like written. It's like ready to go.
Yeah. Keanu Reeves wants it too. He's said on a few things where he
Yep.
wished that it would come back.
Yep. All right. Well, let's talk about some video games. It's been long enough. This is the top down perspective for October 3rd. I'm Sean Booker.
I'm Paul Fleck.
And Paul, what have you been playing?
I finished my quest to play a decent amount of, or at least however much I felt was needed, of every game of UFO 50. So I've tried every single one of them for anywhere between 5 minutes to 2 or to 3 hours, depending on how engrossed I got into it and kind of how they grab you. Because some of them are just kind of like obviously 2-player games or like sports games, right? Where it's just like Pong, essentially. So it's like, okay, I don't need to play a lot of this. I just want to check out some of the different characters or whatever.
Okay.
And then some of them are just like, oh, this is a full-blown RPG. So, that thing is incredible. Like, there are a lot of games in that collection I don't like at all, but I wouldn't say they were necessarily bad. They just don't resonate with me, and I could see like why other people would like them or whatever. But there is more than a handful of those games that, like, if I was a kid and I got this like on Christmas or whatever, I could see me playing months and months of like some of these games that like take forever in some of them.
Okay.
That thing is very,
Are there
very cool.
any of them where you were like, I want a full blown game of this?
The thing is that a lot of them are full-blown games, but like I know what you mean. So the big one that everyone talks about is Pilot Quest, mainly because that thing is huge and ridiculous in a way that like is kind of incredible. Pilot Quest is the idle clicker game for anybody who maybe isn't in the know or whatever. That you basically want to start it up as early as possible because as you're playing other games, it's working in the background, and then the idea is that you're going to go back to it, upgrade some stuff, and then like check on it every now and then. And I wish I had done that a little bit sooner, and I wish I had done it more frequently, because the beginning of that, like any idle clicker, you don't hold enough of the currency that you can get to like just let it kind of do whatever. Uh, because you have like a limit of you can hold. I think it's like 2,500 or something. Uh,
Yeah.
and like it's not really enough to really get to the next level unless you're consistently kind of letting it do its thing and then checking up on it. And then when you get to the next level, it starts like the automation thing of, okay, I got some dudes working on this, so like things are working better now and I can kind of leave it for longer. So I wish I had started that earlier. That's kind of the big one that I think most people, maybe when they get to it, if they haven't been told, uh, are maybe a little disappointed that they didn't start it earlier. The other big ones are I'm trying to remember the names of some of them. There's a Metroidvania one. John had talked about this a couple times too. That had kind of a metal storm thing where when you double jump, you switch polarity and you go onto the roof or whatever. So it's just a really clean, fun Metroidvania that uses that mechanic. Some of the golf games in that are really, really fun. There's a pinball golf fusion sort of thing where it's basically just like a 2D golf game with the like bouncing pads and stuff on it, and you're supposed to make par. That's pretty fun. There's this one, I can't remember the name again, Porgy, I think, that John and I were talking about a little bit in the DMs, where that game is kind of horrible for the first little bit until you start getting some upgrades, and then it becomes a really fun just adventure game in the sea with your little submarine or whatever. There's a whole bunch of them that are just really, really good. And I think when John's back, John and I are going to probably go a little deeper into them at some point, probably, because
Nice.
we had a lot of discussion in the DM, and at some point I was just like, we should stop talking about this in DMs because this is like literally just content, like everything we're saying here.
Go for it.
And then maybe at that point you'll have picked up a few of them and or whatever. So we'll see. We'll see where we're
I
all
want
at.
to. It's just so daunting now. And when I look at it's like that, or I could continue playing the like 8 games that are also huge that I'm playing right now.
Yeah, it's really hard. And that so my goal was I wanted to get like into every single game in this to really see the ones I like, the ones I dislike or whatever before October started, because all October I'm only doing horror games. So I'm even put Zelda aside, like everything's aside right now. Because I have so many things I need to catch up on.
There's a lot coming out this month. You're gonna have a pretty big backlog by the time November hits.
Yeah, and there's like already games that are going to take precedence over some of the things coming out even next month. Like I still really want to get to Animal Well, like shit that came out earlier this year. We're getting to the end of the year.
Animal Well?
No, I own it too.
Well,
like I bought it.
Oh yeah, that would have been around when I was in Europe. Not the
first time.
Time. Because the first time was in January. I've been to
okay,
Europe
not that one.
this year.
Yeah, in July or August or something in that time period. Maybe June even.
Well, it was May because August was Gamescom.
Was it May? Okay. So like Animal Wells up there, Prince of Persia, which came out at the beginning of the year.
Dude.
Yeah, there's a lot of games. So
it's okay. They're gonna stop coming out soon, and then you'll be able to catch up.
The problem is that they just don't stop, and unfortunately, we do a thing where we do Game of the Year, and there's a lot of those that I have to dig into because I know some of them will probably be on that top 10. So
true. That's probably true.
And UFO 50 is probably. It's weird because even though, like I said, there's a lot of really good stuff on there, there's a lot of stuff I didn't vibe with or like at all. And like, even though it's competently made and trying to do a thing, like I don't care. If I'm not having fun, I'm not having fun. So I'm gonna have to kind of reevaluate like just how much, what side I think I'm 60% positive, where 60% of these games were all great and 40% were okay or bad for me.
That's always like an interesting conversation or like thought experiment when it comes to like compilation games.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, how do you rank this whole thing? Because it's like, what if one of those games is like your new favorite game?
Right.
So it's like, well, I want to give this game like a 10 out of 10, like UFO. But it's like, what if you don't like any of those other games? Does that bring it down? Or just the fact that it contains your new favorite game of all time? Is it 10 out of 10? Like, how do you know what I mean?
It's crazy. Yeah, no, it's one of those things that I don't know where I'm going to land on it, but I still think that thing is incredible for what it's trying to do. It completely, like, as a technical marvel of video games and like cool things, that thing is like unbeatable. But some of the time, some of those games just aren't fun to me. Um,
You know, I first came across this thought idea
mhm.
when people were discussing the Orange Box,
Yep,
and that came out because they were like Portal 10 out of 10 game.
sure.
Um, but they didn't feel like all the other ones in there were 10 out of 10. So that's kind of where that discussion first popped up, and it's something I kind of always think about. And it's a weird question. It's going to be different for everybody, but it's
Totally.
it's an interesting one.
Totally. Yep. And also just the one last thing about UFO 50, at least for this week for me, is I started looking at their subreddit to just kind of see like what people are saying, and
Okay.
that subreddit, it has this kind of like meta RP thing going on where people are talking about those games as if that they actually are real. And they're like, when did you first play whatever? And it's like, oh, when I
Oh yeah.
like checked it out back in the 80s or whatever. It's like, holy shit, this is
Well,
crazy.
another cool just kind of side thing. This isn't like in the RP sense, but the developers have been putting out, or they started putting out, a podcast series. I forget exactly what it's called, but they're doing one episode a week, and each episode is about a different game from the collection.
So this is one I wanted to do as well. I was when I was playing it, I was like, I wish I had somebody to do like a podcast series with where we did like an episode per game or whatever, because that would be just fun and crazy.
Well, it's too late. They're already doing it, and they're doing it
Yeah.
with the developers, so it's going to be way better
Oh,
than yours.
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
So, but just for anyone listening, like if you're really digging UFO 50, this seems like just the perfect little compilation thing, and you have almost a year's worth of like podcasts that they have lined up for you. So that would be a really cool thing to have on the side.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. I can't wait for this to come out on other thing like the Switch. I would love this to be on the Switch. This is the first game that I really was just like, man, especially because last weekend I was traveling or whatever. This would have been great to have a Steam Deck and play a bunch of
I
this
think that's
stuff on the
great.
road. It would
It's
have been
kind
great.
of like a Switch, but better in like every single way.
Like every single thing is better than the Switch at this point. I hate that
Yep.
system.
Yep.
Oh, it's a shame. So UFO 50, yeah, that's a big thing. John, like spoiler alert, maybe John's been playing a bunch of it too, and I'm sure he'll have a lot more to say about it next week. So you'll probably hear more. It's October. Silent Hill 2 remastered remake is coming out in 5 days from now on the Tuesday.
Yeah, I think it's a full-on remake.
It's a full-on remake.
A blooper,
Yes.
bloober, whatever, bloober, right?
So to start off October, I'm catching up on the Silent Hill games again. It's been a while since I've played them, so what better time to dive into that and be fresh on those original games or whatever going into the new one here. So I played Silent Hill 1 uh, 2 days ago and yesterday, just split into half. Tonight I'll be doing Shattered Memories because it's kind of the remake or reimagining is more appropriate. And yeah, I'm excited to get back into that series because a lot of those games I've only beat maybe once or twice, and it'll be nice to kind of revisit them, get prepared for the 8th.
You also looking forward to the Until Dawn remake?
No, because I've heard bad things about it. Apparently, it runs
Yeah, I
like
was about
shit.
to bring that up as I'm hearing pretty bummer things about that.
And I own that on PS4, so if I wanted to, I could just play it again. And so, like, hearing the remake is bad is really a shame. That sucks.
Sure.
Yeah. But I still need to check out rather, the casting of Frank Stone, the kind of their new one that came out last month. So I'll probably play that this month. It did, yeah. It came out last month.
Is that like a Dark Pictures one?
It is, yeah. It's the one that
I didn't know about that at all. When did this come out?
it's the one that takes place in
August
the
26th.
Dead by Daylight universe.
Oh, but it's like another like co-op.
I don't know. I would assume so, but I don't actually know.
Interactive drama horror game. I'm just trying to think if is it a part of the Dark Picture anthology, or is it just a separate?
No, it's a different game, but it's
Okay.
I think it's Supermassive still.
Like I need to know if that dude is gonna show up with the like grunge rock soundtrack behind him. I think that voice actor and model firm actually just passed away.
Oh, that's too bad.
So, but I'm sure he's in a couple of those.
Yeah. No, it shouldn't have any continuity with the Dark Picture stuff. It's a
Okay, then
different
there's less
series.
of a need for me to get to it. But I will. Does it have co-op? That's the real question.
Yeah, that I don't know. I'm not sure.
Will be including couch co-op.
Couch
So it
co-op?
definitely has couch co-op.
Okay, that's the first step. That's good. Hopefully online.
Yeah, that's what I need. Is I need to have the online one. Let me
Mhm.
see what the Steam page says. I think it's just couch co-op. So
Oh, that's a bummer.
the bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
nonsense.
looking forward to checking that out. I have a whole bunch of
All right.
other horror games that came out are coming out this month because of course they are, especially the indie stuff. They waited until October. It'll be fun. I haven't played a whole lot of horror games this year because it seems like every other game came out this year. So it'll be nice to kind of catch up on a lot of this stuff in October, in spooky month. That's kind of been it for me though.
All right, then on my side, I'm just continuing with Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom.
Sure.
What did I do? I've finished the third dungeon. I don't know how many dungeons are in this game. I'm going to assume. I was going to assume 8, but I guess the last couple have had 4.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't really know. I finished 3 of them, and now I'm doing. Before I go to the next one, I started to like explore the map a bit more.
Yep.
Picking up on that. I wish it ran better,
Yeah.
but
So
that's a Switch game.
yeah, I played the beginning of it and like it's cool. It's cute or whatever. It was the exact same thing that when I was seeing people play Link's Awakening, just being like, "Boy, this looks like shit" when it's running in certain spots, and this is unfortunately the same thing. And it's a real bummer because I did the thing where I dumped it onto my PC and was playing it with an emulator. It didn't like run perfectly, but it ran better. And then of course like it's not part of the news because there's not a whole lot to talk about it, but Nintendo went after the last Switch emulator this week, Ryujinx, which was kind of like my last hope in being able to actually play Nintendo games on hardware that can handle them. So I guess if you want like good quality, you're just gonna have to wait for the next Switch release at this point and do the backwards compatible stuff. Which maybe at this point I do because fuck, like I have so many other things to catch up on. Like I can probably wait to play this, even though it was pretty fun. I like that beginning. That beginning is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks nice. Like, I like this art style. I liked it when they
Yeah,
revealed it for Link's Awakening. But yeah, just like how it actually plays and stuff is it is a bummer. I wanted to
yeah.
point some people towards just some more tangential content to this. They did a Ask the Developer with the people behind Echoes of Wisdom. Specifically, Anuma did it with. I'm trying to remember the developer's name because Nintendo doesn't really like name their studios.
Mm-hmm.
Grezzo or Grizo is the studio. They used to do a lot of support stuff for Nintendo. Um, they helped out with Link's Awakening. This is the first time they've got to do something from the ground up. But they did an interview series. There's a 4-part interview series with them. I would just search for Ask the Developer Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. And apparently this originally started as a Zelda maker.
Oh, okay.
They couldn't quite figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
It started with them having Link be the hero, but they also were like, well, how do we have to take away his sword? This isn't really working.
Oh, sure.
Um, just some pretty interesting stuff, but you can definitely see the like connective tissue between Zelda Maker and what this is, because
Sure.
this is just kind of like sandboxy.
Yeah.
One correction I had from what I said something last week is John had asked, how many items can you spawn at once, and I was like, I think it's just 3. It's just 3 at the beginning. I can spawn way more now.
Mm.
So you
Sure.
do get to power up that specific aspect and stuff. So I was saying you can't just roll in with an army. You can, if the enemy cost is low enough, you can like with snakes. I can spawn like 4 snakes when
Okay.
I enter a room and have them just go at it and stuff.
That's pretty cool.
Not that I really do that. I have stronger enemies that I get to spawn.
Yeah.
I made this joke on Twitter. I do think the hardest puzzle in this game is picking the right monster that isn't an idiot. Because these guys just,
Oh, sure.
it's like, come on, attack him. What are you doing? Attack. um, but I like it. One of the things that I kind of bounced off of with Tears of the Kingdom was it was like too open.
Yeah.
That game is like, hey, kind of you can partially make your own fun. You can build whatever you want, and I'm not that gamer.
Yeah,
I
sure.
didn't grow up with Minecraft, so building my own fun, having a sandbox has never been my thing. I need some, when I play Lego, I like the instruction booklet. I don't just
Yep.
build my own thing. This
Same.
is like a more constrained version because this one you can do what you want. You can solve the puzzles your own way, but it's a lot more confined to like bite-sized kind of pieces of that. So it's scratching that itch for me much more acutely than Tears of the Kingdom was. Um, as a result, Echoes of the Wisdom or Echoes of Wisdom, it's more of like a puzzle game than an action game, which typically I would say it's kind of the opposite with Zelda, is it's more about like the combat and such and using the different weapons.
Yeah.
This is like, hey, here's like a traversal puzzle. How are you going to get around it?
Yeah.
And
Right.
for me personally, 9 times out of 10, it's I'm going to stack 4 beds on top of each other
Dude, beds are
and then
fucking
get.
crazy.
They're the best. They're that first bed you get. It's the most useful thing in the game.
Like I only played for maybe an hour, and it's like, oh, why would I use literally any of this shit but a bed? Like,
Well, I mean, at some point you get a spider that just like makes a rope for you that you can just climb up,
yo,
and it's like,
that's
holy shit,
that's
let's
pretty
go,
great.
spider. Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes you just get a thing where you're just like, well, this just changed how I'm going to. But I will say, I come back to bed like, I don't know, 7 out of 10 times. It's like, what's the best way to get up there? 4 beds on top of each other. Let's go.
Yeah.
And
For anybody who
so,
like hasn't seen the game or whatever, the reason the bed is so good is because it's like a 2x1 block where the one can like overlap with the one below it to make a staircase easily and quickly.
and it's short enough that Zelda can jump up there.
Yeah.
Because you get the crate pretty early, but Zelda can't jump onto the crate. You have
Right.
to put like a stool or a bed, and then you can get onto the crate.
Right.
But yeah, no, the key aspect of it is because it's 2 spaces long, is there's enough space for you to stand on one side, spawn something else, because you can't like spawn like a stool on top of a stool because you're on the stool.
Right.
Um, but like I just got no spoilers. Was in some of
Of
the trailers.
course.
I got the water cube. You can just make a stack of water cubes and swim up there. Done.
Sure. Yeah.
I also love seeing, and this was similar with like Tears of the Kingdom. Is I'm seeing videos on Twitter of people coming up with interesting ways of solving problems. People just walking around spawning a water cube and then using like the bind mechanic where you can move things around to grab an enemy, put them in the water cube, and then just watch them drown.
That's the exact same energy as putting a Korok on a cross or whatever. Like just like some real sick shit.
Or putting the Korok like on a rocket and just launching them
Yes.
over there as opposed to like building a cart and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So I like that aspect for sure. That's fun seeing it. But
That's
I'm
great.
just enjoying the world. The stamp dude is pretty good. Which I know you haven't found the stamp dude yet.
No.
But he's pretty funny. Some real tingle energy there. Yeah, it's good. I do just wish the frame rate would stop dropping because it is kind of constantly. There's a good video, of course, over on Digital Foundry where they're talking about this exact thing.
Mm,
So if you're interested in that, I would also point you towards that. But
sure.
yeah, I'm liking it. I'm definitely gonna keep playing more of it for sure.
Yeah.
I think if you haven't played it at this point, maybe just wait for the Switch 2 and hope that there's like a better running version. If
I
you
think
can
I
hold
might do
out,
that.
'cause-
Mainly because like I said, my backlog is already crazy. So like
yeah, yeah, no, exactly.
it is cool though from the
We're-
little I played. It is very neat.
Yeah, no, I like it. I'm having fun for sure. And again, I think people should check out that interview because there's some pretty interesting tidbits in there that you wouldn't have thought about. All right, let's do some news. Not a lot happened this week, but that's not going to stop us.
Right.
Um, kind of along the same path of things that you should check out on the internet, and I'm doing my part to point you towards them. Jason Schreier, one of our favorite video game reporters, has gone out there. He has dug behind the scenes. He has interviewed people and found out what exactly happened with Annapurna. Um, so there's an article over on Bloomberg. It's pretty long, so I'm not going to try and like summarize all the twists and turns about it. But if you're someone who enjoys following the industry, you heard us talk about it when. For those who don't remember, I'll do a quick recap. Annapurna, everyone resigned all of a sudden at once about 2 or 3 weeks back, basically leaving the game side of it with like no one working there now. And I think they're like rapidly bringing in contractors to try and get a few of the games over the finish line, and people are kind of scrambling.
Right.
Um, Now we got a bit of look behind the curtain. So look, the article is titled "Annapurna Video Game Division Imploded Because of Power Struggle." That's over on Bloomberg. So I will definitely recommend you should go check that out if you're interested in hearing about that. Did you get a chance to read that? Are you at all interested, Paul?
So I heard a little bit of like people talking about it, and I didn't read it because it sounds like it's because Megan Ellison is a piece of shit, basically.
It was definitely like a weird power struggle, but there's more than just that because there's like a few other key people
I'm
at the
sure.
top of Annapurna that were kind of pushing back and forth about things.
Mm-hmm.
But Ellis was definitely a key part of it for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it just sounded like one of those bummer stories that I was like, I'm just not in the mood to read about some asshole like CEOs and corporate people making decisions that are not great.
It does sound like the people who all left are looking at staying collected and maybe having like a new thing named. And in this article, they even talk about they were beginning to do that, and that was one of the main reasons of the resignation. Is they were like trying to say like, hey, we should split these things because you guys are obviously going for more of a AAA space. We're wanting to stay in this kind of indie space.
Yeah.
And we saw that AAA push. The first thing that was done was um, the Remedy deal, and so they had already kind of started building that. And because they were just not interested in continuing those talks for one reason or another, the people were just like, "Well, I'm out then. See ya." And everyone did that. But again, there's a lot more detail in that article, so you
Yeah,
should
I'm,
check that
I'm
out.
sure it's a bunch of stuff building up because people don't just walk away from a paycheck easily like that. I'm sure there was a bunch there.
Yeah. We got a bit more information on what's going on with Tango GameWorks and the Hi-Fi Rush IP. There's a article over on gamesindustry.biz, but it sounds like for the past little bit, Tango GameWorks was working on anniversary content for The Evil Within.
Sure.
Not exactly explaining what that would have been. I would have assumed something small like, hey, we fixed some more of the bugs, maybe some quality of life updates or something.
Yeah,
Not like a
a
new title
remaster,
or anything.
re-release or something. Yeah, for
I
sure.
would assume if it was like something bigger like that, that would have been an announcement, but who knows? Apparently, they also put about 6 months into Hi-Fi Rush 2 at that point, before at the point being when they shut down the studio.
Sure.
So a
Yeah.
good chunk of Hi-Fi Rush 2 is already underway. And then just kind of reiterating that Krafton, they acquired the Hi-Fi Rush IP. Ghostwire Evil Within is technically still under Microsoft. So even though Krafton is kind of rebuilding that studio a bit, they did not take all of the IP that they had. They're mainly focused on Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah.
So they have an interview there over on gamesindustry.biz, if you want to learn more about that. All right, the PS5 Pro this last week was they went on pre-orders. The 30th anniversary edition also went on pre-orders. They all went on pre-orders at once. I pretty much, I'm sure I know what the answer is, but did you queue up?
No.
No.
No, I did not.
Well, apparently a lot of people did.
I believe it. Yeah.
I was hearing about a lot of people trying to get that 30th anniversary edition. $1,000 was the price, which is actually a deal. If you split out all the components, you actually are getting a deal. Anyway, I heard it was very hard if you're in the States. But this new story that we have pulled up is specifically about the Japanese side of this, where they implemented a kind of filtering of people that could do it. You have to have some gamer cred if you were in Japan trying to get one of these. So let me pull up the actual criteria so that I'm not saying it incorrectly here.
So you needed a PSN account that was
Yes.
registered in Japan and at least 30 hours of runtime on the account between February 2014 to September 19th, 2024. So about 10 years worth. Can I just say that I actually like this? mainly because fuck scalpers.
No, absolutely. I people do like this for sure. Um, yeah, just to reiterate, you just needed 30 hours within the last decade.
Yeah,
And it had to, and also September 19th. So it couldn't have been a thing that you could have just like,
yeah,
as soon as you learned about this, turned on your PlayStation and left it there. 30 hours within a decade, easy to do. But if you're a scalper, not easy to do.
sure, yeah,
Like you can't just like get
impossible
a,
even.
you right. So I do like this. This is like the easiest possible step you could have taken, and and you made sure that some people who actually care a little bit about games were able to get their hands on this. Because yes, I'm with you. Fuck scalpers. They're only putting out like 13,000 of these, less than 13,000 of these, so it's gonna be scalped to all hell.
Yep, for sure.
And I wish they had done this everywhere. Like it would be great.
Yeah. No, I love this. I really, really do.
All right, and last one is we got a bit of clarity on what Guerrilla Games is up to. Not really sure where this like came from. I guess oh, I guess Schreier knew about this, and he was on Jason Schreier's been doing like a tour of podcasts over the past few weeks because his book's coming out, so he's getting the word out.
Sure.
I guess this was a tidbit he knew about that was put on the Spawn Waves Spawncast. Horizon
Okay.
3 might be a ways off. Gorilla is in an interesting place because they're working on this Horizon Online game that I'm not sure how many people want that. That's basically the quote. I had forgot that they announced a multiplayer Horizon game. This is specifically co-op. I think I was hearing that this was announced actually back in 2022, but I had completely forgotten about it. But anyways, those interested in Horizon 3, that's a ways off as they focus on this. I'm also kind of surprised to hear this is still the plan forward, considering we just got Conquered that failed. Destiny 2 kind of wasn't bringing in what they were hoping. Like it seems like Sony is trying to change their mind on live service multiplayer stuff, but who knows? Maybe this is too far in.
Yeah, it's probably one of those things where Horizon's huge and turning a giant ship is way harder than like a little indie
I mean,
boat.
they stopped the Last of Us multiplayer thing that was years in development.
Yeah. Yeah, this must have been pretty close to being just done.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, hey, I'll play a Horizon co-op game. I like the Horizon games. I like co-op games. So like,
I'd try it out.
I'm the target demographic for this.
Sure.
Yeah. I'll also play Horizon 3.
Sure.
I'll also probably check out Lego Horizon Adventures.
Yeah, that I probably won't do. But the other ones, yeah, I'm in.
Cool. And Lego Horizon Adventures, I think, comes out November? October? When is that? It's this year.
It's added to the pile, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, that's the news for this week. Let's do some questions.
November 14th, apparently, is what chat's saying.
Okay, November 14th. Thank you. If you want to send in a question, topdownperspective@gmail.com, at TDP Podcast on Twitter. Blue Sky, there's the Discord channel, there's John's P.O. Box. Those are all great ways to send questions in. And this first one comes from Rasterman, who writes, what's the first game that comes to mind when you hear these words? One game should correspond to each word, and you don't have to get to the same answer as the other hosts. Okay. Joy.
Wait. Oh, Astrobot.
Think fast.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Astrobot.
Astrobot. Okay, I thought Rock Band.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Anger.
Super Meat Boy.
Sura's Wrath.
Yeah, okay.
Holidays.
Oh, fuck.
Left 4 Dead 2.
I don't know that I have an answer.
Nothing. Holidays. Come on, something has to pop into your head.
No, I just drew a blank, and now that I'm trying to...
At some point, you will think of a video game if I just keep saying holidays over and over.
Yeah, probably. Maybe.
Holidays.
I hate this.
Holidays.
I hate it so much.
Holidays. Force yourself to think of a game. Holidays.
That's making it harder. That's
Holidays.
the problem.
Resident Evil 8. That's a game. Now you're thinking about Resident Evil 8. There's your answer.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that doesn't make me think... Holidays doesn't make me think about Resident Evil at all.
Okay, disappointment.
Resident Evil 8.
Right. Okay. I don't. Asura's Wrath popped into my head. That game's not disappointing. That's just
Right.
what popped into my head.
Okay.
Fine. Okay, now I'm just thinking of Asura's Wrath. I got to think of it again. Fine.
That's the problem, is
Uh,
how much you get stuck on a track.
Fine. Cooking Mama popped into my head for fine.
For fine? Bayonetta popped into my head, even though I think
Is that because the chat just said Bayonetta?
Yeah. Yeah, I just noticed that too.
Cooking. Okay, maybe that's.
Cooking Mama.
I'm going to be honest with you. Cooking Mama did not pop into my head because cooking was there. But maybe I subconsciously saw the word. I didn't even read it. It wasn't even something I cognitively. Yeah. All right, cooking.
Yeah, Cooking Mama. Probably because you said it and it's part of the title.
Yeah, I'll go Overcooked.
Sure. Okay.
Sports. Madden.
Okay, NHL was what got, like...
Molyneux? Okay.
Fable.
NHL?
Molyneux?
Oh, I'm thinking of Mario Lemieux. Well, there's my answer. EA's NHL games.
Yeah.
Okay, Suda 51.
Oh my god, I'm trying to remember the name of that game. Holy shit.
Shadows of the Damned, but it's Shadows of the Damned.
Shadows of the Damned, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
And Nathan.
Oh, Deadly Premonition.
Okay, so I was trying to think of Work Time Fun, but I couldn't remember, and all I could remember was the like pen cap one, and so my head went to a Bop It. Physical Bop It toy.
Okay, yeah. Work Time Fun is 100% Nathan. That's true.
So is Deadly Premonition.
Yeah, true. Also, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. For like not game stuff. Okay, Suku writes, a genie comes to you with a deal for all the crap he's put you through. You get 24 hours to make as much money as possible in any video game of your choosing. Currency exchange will be possible. These are in universe hours. Whatever money you get by starting the game doesn't count, only profit. Any liabilities and dangers that come from playing the game will be in effect. What video game do you choose? So we can make whatever the game's currency is, and that currency will transfer to real life at an exchange rate of some sort.
Yeah. Okay. And theoretically, you don't want to say like GTA because you can die if you're like robbing stuff.
Yeah, and like literally you could just do what you do in GTA. Like that's possible to get money.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking of like it's like video game rules, but I happen to be the protagonist and stuff.
So what I was thinking is like an idle clicker of some sort, but then is the exchange rate just terrible because you don't like really like, I guess I don't know what the exchange rate would be. If it's easier to get something in a game, does it mean that the exchange is worse in real life?
No, I interpreted that as in like in case it uses like fake money, like Animal Crossing, it's bells.
Oh,
you know, maybe they'll convert bells to dollars. So if it's in the game, if it says dollars, you're gonna get like a 1-to-1.
Okay, because I was thinking cookie clicker.
You'll get the money.
I was thinking cookie clicker and how you could get like billions like in a couple hours.
Isn't that billions of cookies?
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Is like, what's the exchange of that?
Oh, okay. I think with cookie clicker specifically, you're going to get cookies because cookies do exist.
Oh yeah, I don't want billions of. Well, can I sell? No, people don't want video game cookies.
I don't think you could sell that many.
Yeah. Like, I'm not the Girl Guides, so I think I'm pretty screwed.
I don't even. A billion is a lot. Do you think the Girl Guides have sold a billion cookies?
In their full lifetime? Maybe.
Full lifetime. A billion is a lot.
Yeah, maybe. Just because
I'm gonna quickly see how much they average each year.
Yeah. Check it out. Man, idle clickers are such the easy answer though, because in a couple hours you're making billions of something. Oh, isn't there like isn't venture capitalist one or whatever? What the hell is that? That's literally
Actually, it's definitely over a billion. This article here, I don't know how accurate it is, but who cares? ABC bakers and little brownie bakers are the most obvious profiteers from the Girl Scout cookie program. Even after accounting for royalty costs, the scale of Girl Scout cookie contracts is massive. 200 million boxes are sold each year. And how many cookies are in a box? You know?
Oh, sure.
2 dozen?
Yeah, sure. Maybe something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they have easily sold billions.
sure. Uh, I'm gonna keep going on the clicker thing. Adventure capitalists. It's literally just money. It's just
Okay.
capitalism.
Yeah, I'm trying. That would have been a good one. Initially, I was thinking like if you get the right like turnip day, you can get a lot of bells in Animal Crossing. But then you're
Oh
like
yeah,
farming and shit, and that's a lot of work, and I don't really want to do that.
sure. Yeah.
Um, Also, it's a 24-hour period, so that wouldn't even really work because the it takes longer than that. So okay, trying to think of something more interesting than a clicker.
Yeah.
But everything I'm thinking of is like dangerous. I'm thinking like a racing game, and you're like winning the money, and it's like yeah, but I crash a lot in racing games, and it's just a good thing it's a video game.
And also, everyone knows you race for pink slips. You don't race for money.
It's true.
So you
Yeah.
could get a bunch of cars in real life. Honestly, that would be kind of sick too. You could sell cars pretty
Again, you're
easily.
also doing like in-universe hours because like when you
Yeah.
play a racing game, it's like multiple days are clearly passing as you are finishing this game. Like probably weeks are passing. Because I also think of like Pokemon. It's
Hmm.
like I get a day in Pokemon. I'm not getting very far in the story in a day.
Yeah.
We're saying Katamari. How would that even work? Like, how do you get the money out of that?
I don't know.
Also, you don't get rewarded with money. Don't you get rewarded with like, here's a new planet in the sky?
Yeah, something like that. Also, you're like Prince of the Cosmos or whatever. You probably have money in that
Yeah,
game.
it's true.
You're going for
Yeah,
power,
maybe just clicker then. Just
reputation.
pick a clicker.
I think that's the answer. As boring as it is.
Jack writes, Final Fantasy VII is not political, end quote, is an absolutely absurd statement that I read the other day. What gaming takes have you heard that make you wonder if the person saying them even played the game at all?
When when people say blank, like I don't have a specific one. This is just kind of a generalization thing. Like blank and blank is a scary game. It's just like it's not at all. I know it's subjective, but a lot of people I think some horror games are scarier than they actually are because a lot of them are stupid.
Yeah, I think that's going to be subjective
Yeah.
because speaking as someone who is a little baby, um,
I don't
just
think it was
just
you who
almost the
said what I'm
idea
thinking
that
of.
this is in the horror genre is scary enough to just turn me off. Like, no, I'm good.
Fair.
I know what I have an idea of what you are going to attempt with this game, and I don't want that.
Mm,
Speaking of babies, did you hear about that live action hybrid animated Rugrats movie that's happening?
I did not. No. Oh
So
man.
everyone will be a human, like a live action,
Uh
except
huh.
the babies. They're going to be CG.
Oh god. Oh no. That's horrible. That's
That
awful.
sounds. I mean, even if it wasn't that, if they got any scenario sounds horrible because like if
Yeah.
it was all live action, you're going to find toddler actors, like
Yeah.
child actors are already bad.
Yeah.
So my thought is what they would do in that scenario is they would age them all up so that it's kind of like a Goonies,
Oh
like
yeah.
they're no longer babies.
Sure.
Then it's like, well, then like why if this why call it Rugrats?
Totally. Yeah.
But anyways, this is much worse. The hybrid where all the babies are CG.
That's awful.
Holy smokes! And
Did
then
you
that
play
reminded me of that like when they brought the series back for Paramount streaming service and it was CG. I don't remember anyone saying a single good thing about that.
I don't think I even watched that. I forgot all about that.
The CG was awful. It looked terrible compared to the old like 2D animation.
Yeah. That 2D animation's great though. It's fun.
Yeah, they need to do more 2D animation, honestly.
Did you play that Rugrats game? I actually forgot to
I
talk
played
about it on here.
I haven't played it once it came out. I played a demo of it at a preview event here during GDC.
That game's great.
So I
It's
did
really
you play
good.
it?
Yeah. I played
Okay,
it through twice on the HD and the like old school graphics
nice.
because I needed to see both. They're both awesome.
It was pretty wild that they just gave that away on Epic
Yeah,
when it came out. Like, sure, thank you.
that thing's awesome. It made me want to watch that series again. A lot of cool little
A great
callbacks and
a
Easter
great
eggs.
original series. Well, hey, now you should watch the Paramount one
Oh
because it's
no.
something new and you can report back. I know
Ugh.
no one talked about that. I know very little about that other than they made Phil and Lil's mom canonically a lesbian.
Yeah, I mean,
That's literally
the
all I
way
know
that
about the
she
Bronwyn.
was just like faking it to herself, telling her.
I mean, they were definitely kind of like hinting at that. It was just
Yeah,
like subtext for sure. I'm
yeah.
just saying, I have heard nothing about when they brought that show back and made it extremely ugly.
Mm. Um, any other absurd statements? We got way off track.
Oh, I don't have one from gamers that I can think
Yeah.
of. No.
Oh,
I thought you were asking if I had any more absurd statements, and what I was going to say is, I mean, we're not done the show yet, so probably.
yeah, probably. No, I have more, and it's probably if you're on socials, like the ones that you would think. There's this like whole like this game went woke. It's like Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster is not woke just because they took erotica out. There's still weird over sexualized garbage and stuff in that game. Like it's one of those things as like people get on this weird high horse of like trying to do some identity politics shit and they're just wrong because they didn't play the game. They're just wrong about it.
Yep.
There's a lot of that going on recently.
Unfortunately.
Phantom Aegis writes, Ahoy TDP crew. To continue last week's question, what are your favorite memories with the PlayStation 2? Could be the software, backwards compatibility, DVDs, the iToy, the build up to the console, whatever you desire to talk about.
PS2, yeah. PS2 is definitely one of the early consoles that I didn't get used. There's a lot of my first consoles I got from like a pawn shop or something. Trying to think
Okay.
if my GameCube was used or not, and I can't remember. Anyway, PS2. Probably like for early consoles, my biggest game library. I played a lot of PS2.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, GameCube, I played a lot of GameCube as well, but it was kind of a lot with like a few games
Yeah.
because it's a Nintendo platform, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
um,
Sure.
yeah, favorite memories like the Budokai series. Played a lot of that on the PlayStation. Final Fantasy X, played a lot of that.
Yeah.
Devil May Cry, the Prince of Persia, Sands of Time trilogy. Love those games.
Yeah. All great.
What about you?
It was one of our first DVD players, so just like I think the first DVD I watched on it was LA Confidential, and then after that, the first one we bought
Okay.
was Fellowship of the Ring. It was around that time.
Sure.
So like I remember a lot of it from movies. Blair Witch 2, Book of Shadows specifically. I remember watching that and playing Time Splitters at my buddy's house because he had gotten it first. And I remember also that was like the night that we invited some kids from school that weren't really part of our friends group to hang out because they were also into video games and we didn't really like them, but
Used
it
to be
was
so easy to make friends, right?
well, it was one of those things is like, oh, did you hear I won't say his name on here just in case what dude got a PS2, all right, let's go to his house or whatever, and like the kids that you didn't even necessarily like very much would tag along, but because we all played games or whatever, yeah, I don't know. There were a lot of weird, fun memories, but
Whereas now you're trying to make a friend and it's like, okay, well, what's your credit score? Like, we gotta, I gotta background check you real quick.
yeah, no, I'd go the easy route. I just try not to make friends. I just don't want to talk to
Okay.
people. It's easier.
Sure. Fair enough.
It's easier. Yeah, PS2 is the games you said are great. Bunch of fighting games. Tekken Tag Tournament was huge for us when that came out. What are some other ones? That's where I played a lot of Code Veronica because Code Veronica X came out on that, and it was kind of like a little retooled version of the original that was only on Dreamcast at the time. Final Fantasy X, like you said, was huge for me. Yeah, there a whole lot. It's one of those things that if I look through the library, I probably have memories with a lot of that library in some way or another.
Yeah, I mean, if we're getting into like when like things like blew up for me though, it's like the 360. Like I was
Fair.
definitely playing a lot of games on the GameCube and the PlayStation 2, playing a lot of stuff on the N64 for sure. But like when the 360 came out, that is when my game library like exploded. I was like this is it. This is
Sure.
this is me.
Fair. uh Killzone being the Halo killer, that was like such a stupid conversation back in the day, and kind of like what that did for shooters or whatever, or what it was supposed to do for shooters for Sony. Yeah, there's a lot of memories for the PS2, good and bad, I guess.
All right, from VGC Kenny. My friend loved Resident Evil 4, but is a little down on the remake.
Hmm.
His reasoning is that the original is, quote, a playable B movie, and the remake takes itself too seriously.
Yeah, facts.
What, in your opinion, okay, so, sorry, there's some weird commas here. What, in your opinion, are some remakes or perhaps sequels where something like that gets lost in translation?
He's absolutely right. A lot of the charisma that Resident Evil 4 has that people fell in love with back then is kind of lost in the remake. The remake is like a good horror thing, but a lot of people liked Resident Evil 4 because it kind of wasn't just a straight horror thing. It had like some flair to it, so I get that. That's for sure. Um,
Yeah, this is relevant, or because I was just reading this earlier today about the Until Dawn remake.
hmm,
Is it looks a lot worse
mm-hmm,
because they're making it more realistic. So they kind of took away the like
yeah,
blue tint to everything, and the comment or the context kind of around that was like, it's a bummer when companies are remaking a game and they're interpreting like a stylistic choice, whether that be like lighting or mist, fog, stuff like that, as something that wasn't supposed to be there, and they change it, so now it's like, well, now it looks quite realistic. We don't have any of that blue stuff, and I mean, maybe it was there at some point because it was like, we are like, specifically the fog. The fog in Silent Hill was kind of twofold. One, it added to the tension and the mysteriousness of the town, but it also was used to like hide Poppin.
a lot,
And
yeah,
then often when they've remade some of the Silent Hills, they get rid of the fog, and it's like, well, now this doesn't look as spooky. And whereas the developers are like, well, we don't have to hide anything anymore, and it's like, yeah, but they missed the point of that's what made things special. I also think about, I think about Crackdown often, just because it's a great game. That's all I really wanted to say. No,
yeah, sure,
I think about Crackdown, of like that first Crackdown when you caused a big explosion, the frame rate would just die, and that was kind of awesome. And they kind of lose a bit of that as they brought it onto newer consoles and stuff, because obviously the games could run better. Um, but there was something awesome about, like, I caused such a big explosion that the game could not handle it, and that made it cool.
yeah, yeah. No, you're right. That stuff's very cool. Um, oh, when they re-released Warcraft 3 Reforged, because they just got rid of like a lot of the stuff that made that original game great, like the custom games and shit. Like everything about that was really, I think they fixed it, but everything about that when that came out was fucking awful. That was so bad. You said Silent Hill, that's kind of the big one, where that HD remake or series kind of fucked that shit up. They also used Comic Sans on one of the one of the
That's just
signs, which
weird.
is so
That's just
funny.
a red flag. Um, a big one for me was the Ace Attorney and Professor Layton games, when those came to like the 3DS, and they were like, all right, no longer are we going to look at these hand drawn um, sprites that looked
Mm,
awesome. We're going to make these ugly polygonal models, and now you can look at them in 3D because it's the 3DS. And so that was kind of a bummer that there was a huge push to, we need these to be polygons now so that there are depth to them, when the sprites just looked so awesome.
sure, yeah. Um, People are really down on Twin Snakes, the Metal Gear Solid 1.
Oh, are they? I thought people were.
I've
I thought
heard
they
some
liked that.
people talk
That
some
game.
shit about it. I liked it because it's dumb in the right way. So like, I just disagree with people that didn't like the Twin Snakes. But I've heard that spread around before. Uh, Shadow of the Colossus remake was good, so not that. That's fine. Final Fantasy VII remake. The thing about Final Fantasy VII remake is that whether or not you enjoy what they did and changed about it, it doesn't fit in here because it's not like the kind of goofiness, or like that game doesn't take itself seriously. It still kind of has the same vibe going for it, even though the gameplay is different.
I'm gonna say that's also a kind of a weird outlier that I wouldn't include here. That's not really a remake. That's a new Final Fantasy game that
It's
just
true.
happens to have the same story. Like they are making it so much kind of what it wasn't.
And it's confusing because like the remake isn't saying that they're remaking that first game so much as that it's a retelling of that story in a parallel. It's a whole thing. Don't.
Yeah, like I think it's just
Yeah.
easier to be like, hey, this is Final Fantasy 17. Like, don't even worry about it.
Yes, it is easier to,
It's just happens to have these characters.
and
Like,
it's more
who cares?
correct to have that take. But it's
You could
I get
swap all
what.
those characters out. Like, hey, his name's not Cloud. This guy's name is, I don't know, Greg, and he does have a big sword because it's Final Fantasy. And you'd be like, all right,
Yep.
lines up. Cool.
Um, wasn't Mario Maker on like the 3DS, and like
Yes.
that's like the stupid that's the worst way to do it because you couldn't access online stuff right properly with it.
Yeah, there was like no kind of like multiplayer aspect, like asynchronous multiplayer kind of stuff. Yeah,
Like that
it
might
was
be the winner just
wild.
by default. It's like, what did you think people went to your game for?
Yeah. Nah, yeah, that's you're right. It's just they made all these levels and then never shared them.
It's
Hooray.
crazy.
Yeah.
Final questions from Dead. What is your median amount of game time across all games you've played? As in, if you played 1,000 games in your life ordered by playtime, what's the playtime of game 500?
I have no what?
Median amount of game time across all games I've played.
I don't know how you would figure out the median because that number could technically be anything. Like I understand if
Yeah,
asking me this question of the average, but median is literally what's the middle number. Couldn't that be anything?
yes. Well, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to kind of guess. I don't, on average, I probably put 10 hours into each game on a very rough average. So it's maybe 10.
I'll say my median's probably 50 to 60 hours because I've played hundreds of hours of some games, 1 hour of some games.
Well, that's not median. Median is just like we have literally lined up every single hour count,
Yeah.
and just because this one is in the middle, that's the median. So that number could be anything. It is not in relation to anything else. It just happens to be the game. So I guess the way you would look at it is, okay, if you've played 1,000 games, how old am I? How long? What is my gaming career? What was I probably playing in the middle? Okay, so let's see. I started playing games primarily when I was like 5.
Your median on
That's like,
Steam is 14 hours. Is there an easy way to pull that up on your profile without having to do math? Because I could tell you that right now, too. If there's... Let me see here. Games owned.
7.
My god, load. And by playtime. Okay. And where is... The middle is here. My median is 19 or 20 minutes.
19 or 20 minutes?
Yeah, because there it also has games that I have 0 time in on here. So like, I don't know how accurate this could even be, unless I can like get rid of games that I haven't even started on here.
But isn't that the average that they're giving you, not the medium?
No, I'm
Median?
looking exactly halfway on my list. That's
But
why
what
I'm
game is
saying
that?
For what? There's like 5 or 10 games here that are 19 to 20 minutes. That's why I'm thinking I would have to get rid of all the ones that have 0 to 5 minutes, maybe, like ones that I started up. Oh, you counted games with 0 hours? Okay, then yes, my median would be 19 or 20 minutes if we're counting games that I have not even started.
All right, I guess I'll just. Well, I don't. Steam's not even like my go-to, so that number's gonna be nonsense. Okay, so
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I don't have a great answer.
sure.
All right, and with that, that's the end of questions. If you want to send in a question for next week, topdownperspective@gmail.com, at TDP Podcast on Twitter, Blue Sky. There's the Discord channel and John's P.O. Box. What is your game of the week?
UFO 50.
And mine goes to Zelda.
Nice.
Thanks everyone for listening, and we